d'ici au papillon céleste, ne fuis pas. Vois comme nos distances sont différentes, je reste, tu t'en vas. Partons-nous, nous aimons, nous vivons sans les hommes, et loin d'eux. Et ne ressemblons, et l'on dit comme nous sommes, fleurs tous deux.
The thing that makes this edition different is it's the first complete critical edition of Fauré's songs. They've been with us now mostly for over 100 years, and they've been dogged by misprints that just leave his intentions unclear at times. So we want something that will give performers confidence to perform it, and also show what the options are, the different ways in which a piece can viably go. The previous editions, his publishers often couldn't really care less about getting it very accurate. And Peter's do, it's great.
When starting to learn to sing French song, Fauré is definitely the first point of call. Working with Roy recently and having these wonderful new editions, it's made me realise that they really need to take a big second look at Fauré's songs, and I particularly love that in the new edition the poets have been grouped together. It really gives a new perspective, I think, on just how he might have wanted his songs to be put together.
Like Debussy, Fauré knew many poets. He was very skilled in poetry. He could write good minor poetry himself. I get the impression that in almost any country, the composer's language has a big impact on even instrumental music. You have the rhythms of a language. He knew most of the poets, he said. Many of them were in his social circle, or some of them he sought out, like Verlaine. In Verlaine's case, it was because he had the Princesse de Polignac, hoping that the two of them would get together to produce an opera, and it didn't work, but in the meanwhile he set a lot of Verlaine poetry as songs. The correspondence between Fauré and Dukas is very interesting because much of it is written on cards in rhyming couplets. These people, they were well trained in the arts generally. Most of them could draw very well, and they could write doggerel poetry, sometimes better than doggerel. There's one Fauré choral work for which I think he wrote his own words. He has a natural sense of play harmonically and rhythmically, so when he'll be playing around from one key to another and you think, how does he get out of there, and he's in the wrong place, and suddenly he's back in the right place. In his treatment of rhythm, it's the same. He'll play cross rhythms against each other the whole time, so you're wondering which way it's going to go next. So there's that lovely sense of yes, of course, but being taken by surprise, and his music is absolutely full of that. That's the sort of multi-layered skill in it. There's no body of songs that's quite like his. There's no body of music that's quite like his. He has a unique accent.
Roy put this really beautifully, that he has this musical economy, and I think that works both ways, that there are pieces that are so sort of white and pale and sparse, and it's that, you know, there's nothing superfluous in them, and then on the other end there are pieces that are so effervescent and ebullient and full of motion, and the more time that I spend with Fauré, the more you sort of appreciate those brilliant choices, and it sort of pushes you to make really specific choices as a singer that meets that musical idea.
Our first decision had to be, how were we going to package the volumes, over 100 songs. The division between volumes 1 and 2, for example, is in that natural 2-year gap, which still leaves a lot of terrific and well-known songs in their volume 2. Volume 3 is just one of the peaks of the art song repertoire, all the Verlaines together for the first time ever. And volume 4 is probably what's still least known, his later song cycles, but one very important thing we want to do with these is to make them available in transposition so that tenors and sopranos can have a go at them for the first time. He presents, like every composer, a particular set of editorial challenges in how to get a clean and reliable musical text to use. He also had this sort of playful mind where if he had written out something beautifully and got a fair copy of it, and even had had it printed, when it was being reprinted, he would look at it and he would just get different ideas. A little bit like Chopin, it would never be quite the same twice, so he would change a tempo marking, hoping to make something clearer, perhaps make the tempo marking faster to stop people from dragging it, or if he had heard people rushing it, he would make it look slower just to correct them. But of course, 100 years down the line, when you've lost that context, these markings are not always clear, so we have to clarify that. We go through all the material and we choose what a principal source for each one, and then if we see things having dropped off the bus on the way along, we pick them up from whatever other source remedies them. So it's putting everything together to reconstruct what we feel was the vision of the piece that he had in mind.
One of the most interesting things that I've had the pleasure of looking at in our little exploration today has been language. It's really interesting to look at one particular song that there is now an option to sing it in Tuscan.
O tu che dormi riposata stai, desto belletto senza pensamento, risvegliati un pochino e sentirai tuo servo che per te fa un gran lamento.
So for me, the new edition gave me more choices, musical choices. So for example, I was singing Au bord de l'eau, now it's another key in D, and so it's higher and much easier for a soprano to sing. And also it allows you to choose, maybe depending on your mood, if you want to do this time this rhythm, on the next time another one.
Being a performer as an editor opens up one important dimension. There's one of the scholarly tasks of an editor is to find the sources, get them together, establish a text according to the reliability of the sources. The performer in us always wants to do something additional, and that is play these and say, does this work when we perform it? I am addressing this to, Emily and I are both addressing this edition very much to performers as well as making it scholarly. And we regard this as absolutely a scholarly aspect of the edition because Fauré was writing it for performers, so we have to be in his place now.
I really like how this edition sort of lets you see the progress that the songs have made and how Fauré will come back to them and with new editions sort of add and subtract things, and it gives you a little keyhole into his decision-making process and his personal life and how he works, and I think that that only enriches how you perform his music. So.
Oh, mes baisers s'épuiseront, oh, mes baisers s'épuiseront.